All right. Hello, everyone. This is Hunter Doyle from The Take. I'm here with Ian Baldwin today, and we're interviewing Brett Myers, 2008 World Series champion, right-handed pitcher from the Phillies. Thank you so much for being with us, Brett. We miss watching you play. I mean, you're a childhood hero of mine and Ian's. Just growing up in Philly, watching guys like you and Cole Hamels and Kyle Hendrick take the mound every day. So thank you so much. Just tell us how you're doing, man, and how quarantine's been going and how life after baseball has been, man.
Well, the kids out of school has been pretty tough doing with four of them, trying to get them homeschooled and getting their work done is like herding cats. So it's pretty that's the tough part. But once the day's done and they get their schoolwork done, we don't have much to complain about. Been out here on the lake and having some fun in the sun.
Awesome, man. Glad to hear that. So for those who don't know you, I don't know who watching our podcast wouldn't know you from back in the day, but for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into baseball as a kid and just kind of your journey and what got you, how you were able to pitch through like such a long career.
I grew up playing baseball, I guess. That and boxing. My dad, I was a pretty good fighter in the gym and stuff like that. And my dad just said that, let's stick to baseball. And I took it serious, probably since I was 7. I know that's like hard to believe that a 7-year-old can have a dream to play in the big leagues and stuff like that. But I really wanted it that bad. And I really didn't care who got in my way as long as I got there. And I guess it was just the mentality from the boxing or something like that pushed me to want to be the best. It was there was a lot of ups and downs trying to get there and stay there and everything like that. And, you find out what type of man that you are and how you bounce back. It's, like Muhammad Ali said, you get knocked down. It's not about how many times you get knocked down, so many times you get up. So with that being said, that's one of the things that I kind of pushed myself for, just to adversity always makes a stronger player and a stronger human being. So, that right there was one of the big things in how you handle failure. And, I try to tell that to my kids today. I kind of want them to fail a little bit more than succeeding. But I do like watching them succeed as well. But, there's always a learning moment when you do fail.
Absolutely. So, who has been like a role model or an influential coach or person in your life?
Coach. I grew up favoring Roger Clemens and Nolan Ryan. I have met those guys before, which was kind of like, I felt like they were like 9 foot tall. And I met Nolan Ryan after I already had almost 8-9 years in the big leagues. And I still felt like he was 10 foot tall. First time I met Roger Clemens, I swear he was 10 foot tall, but I was in the minor leagues at that time. Then when I played with Houston, I got to hang around him a little bit more, and I realized he wasn't that big, and he was just a normal guy like the rest of us, which was really cool for me and stuff like that. But coaching wise, my dad pushed me and helped me along the way. But if I would say and obviously I had two high school coaches that were influential. Don Siriano and Mike Boswell helped me out a lot. And as I got into the pro area, Rod Nichols was a big influence on me. And later in my career, Brad Arnsberg, those two guys really helped me. I guess you could say they earned my trust, and it was a lot easier to confide in them about certain things. More or less, maybe they got me. I was a hard-nosed kid that if I lost, I wanted to fight you. And I think that they kind of calmed that a little bit down, I guess, and try to make it to where I didn't show as much emotion on the mound that I was getting beat, or if something didn't go my way, where I would just get really ticked off. So they were more mentally influential with me than I would say physically, but they did help the physical aspect of it as well.
It's great to hear.
Yeah, it is. So you suffered plenty of injuries during your career, as most
plenty. Not plenty. I prided myself on that. I didn't have that many. I had three in 12 years. One of them was a surgery. The other ones were like pulled muscles because I overexerted myself.
But how did you overcome those injuries?
That is the hardest thing in the world to do, is I would tell you, because you're on your own island. You are on your own island. Basically, none of the team wants to talk to you because you're not helping the team, and it's lonely. It's lonely, and but like I said, more adversity. How you bounce back from it is what makes a better man. I know that when I had my hip surgery in 2009, it was something that I didn't know. I was pitching through it for the most part of the season. I just thought it was something hung up, and I didn't think that I could get injured. With that being said, and I just tried to fight and get back as quick as I could as possible, because I'm telling you, it's very lonely being on that disabled list. It's not a fun place to be, especially knowing that you want to help your team and you can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, if you could just talk about the impact of your coaching staffs and how they impacted your success.
Well, I mean, it all depends on what kind of relationship you have with that specific coach. It's not necessarily if you have to trust them. If you have to be willing to try different stuff, and if it doesn't work, then you have to tell them, hey, listen, it doesn't work. And some people have egos and get mad that you're not trusting them or whatever like that. And then other times that you have coaches, they just go, you know what, do this, and then you do it, and it works, and you're like, okay, I trust this guy now. So it's kind of one of those. It's more about a relationship more than it is being a good coach more than anything. And trust is a big factor.
Yeah, you kind of touched on how your coaches helped you with your mental game as well. So talk to us a little bit about, baseball is a very mental game, especially being a pitcher. So just talk to us a little bit about your mental preparation before going out on the mound each time, and just practice too.
It started depending on. I always tried to figure out who I was going to face, what I thought the lineup was going to be early in my career, and I put a lot of stress on myself and overthinking. Couldn't sleep at night at times, just going through how I'm going to start the inning off, how I'm going to get this guy out. The first inning was always my biggest problem because of the not necessarily anxiety, but I guess it was basically anxiety, and not knowing how good your stuff's going to be that day is the hardest part of starting, I would say. It's you go down the bullpen, you start throwing in the bullpen, and you're like, oh my God, I suck today. And you take that out on the mound. And early in my career, I was like, it's not going to be a good day today. I just can't get loose. I don't feel right, or whatever it is. When I stopped worrying about how my bullpens were before the game is when I became a better pitcher, because I'm like, it doesn't matter. This is just, I had a couple coaches tell me too, this is just to get loose. It's not to, hone your stuff in. When you get out there and you step on that first in the mound, you throw your first warm-up pitch, something might click. And later on in my career, it did. I could feel that. I was like, whoa, that first fastball that came out of my hand to that first hitter, I was like, oh, it's on today. Or, hey, it's going to be a tough one today. I'm going to have to fight through this one to try to give my team a chance to win. So you don't always have your best stuff when you go out there. You might have it 6 to 7 times out of 30-something starts a year. You might have your best stuff. And that doesn't always mean that you're going to blow it by people or get them out, because those hitters are getting paid a lot of money to hit the baseball as well. So you have to be on your game no matter what.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes that mental game can kind of switch whether you're, coming out of the bullpen or starting. So you spend a little time in the bullpen and a lot of time as a starter too. So was that transition, when we know you made that transition from 07 to 08? So was that transition kind of tough, or were you just kind of in the mindset of whenever my
stuff-wise, it was very easy. Stuff-wise, because I had 4 pitches, I was a starter. So as a starter, you need at least 3 pitches to work for you to get through the game. I had 4 pitches as a closer, so I only needed really 2 to get through an inning, maybe not even 2 some nights, But I would say Flash Gordon really helped me out and trying to help me transition into being a closer or a bullpen guy. He taught me the rules, I guess you would say. A lot of people don't know this, but like if you're up 3 runs, it's a safe situation. Up 3 runs, pretty good chance the guy's not going to swing first pitch. Any of the hitters, they're trying to get base runners so they can get back into the game. A 2-run lead, you don't really know. It's kind of like whatever you got to pitch to that guy's weakness, I guess. A first pitch, if he's a first pitch swinger, you just got to know the hitter you're facing. With a 1-run lead, all bets are off. That guy, you better just bear down and go get him and attack his weaknesses, or attack everything that you can with your best stuff that night. And because it's one swing away from tying the ball game up and blowing a save. So
yeah, definitely. So once you got to the big leagues, you were making your debut against the Cubs, and you threw an 8-inning gem that night. So I mean, you certainly didn't seem nervous. So what was it like just putting on the pinstripes for the first time and going out there?
You know what? It was more of a it's a funny story about that, because there's a guy that was in AAA with me, Pete Zamora, left-handed bullpen guy, and he was been telling me for most of the year, because Pryor got called up early that year, or made the team early. I don't know exactly what it was, but he was telling me how much better Pryor was than me, and I needed this, I needed that. And, I'm not as good as him. So when I got the call to, up to the big leagues for to face, I found out who I was facing, and it was Pryor, and that kind of motivated me to kind of shove it up Pete Zamora's rear end just to show him I was better than Pryor. At least that day I was, but that was kind of my motivation for that I was facing Pryor, and I was not going to let him beat me, because I knew I would never hear the end of it. And Zamora got called up, I want to say shortly after that, maybe September or maybe before then. And I told him, I said, I told you. There was nothing, but that was some of my motivation behind that. It's kind of like me versus him at the time.
That's awesome. So in your arsenal, what was like your favorite pitch to throw, and what did you think was your biggest strength as a pitcher?
My biggest pitch was a strike. I liked throwing strikes. I needed to throw strikes. I hated walking people. It was one of my pet peeves. I couldn't stand it. Free passes. Now, there was times where they asked me to pitch around guys to get to the next guy or something, but I couldn't stand walking guys. And, but I would say more or less that was probably my go-to pitch if I was struggling would be my curveball. And I think that in the game today, that's like a lost art. There's not many curveball guys out there. There's more slider guys. Curveballs, I guess, not a very easy pitch to throw, apparently, but I've always thrown it. I've thrown it my whole life. I didn't learn a slider / cutter until probably 05, 06. So I was always a curveball guy. I never had a good changeup or anything. I learned to change up, actually a decent one in 2010. So, I mean, it was always a work in progress with other pitches to try to make me effective. And when I learned the cutter in 05 and 06, 05, I learned it. Rich Doobie taught it to me, and I was learning how to pitch with it, and it changed my whole perspective of how to get hitters out, because I was a fastball curveball guy. I was basically pitching with 2 pitches for the first 3 years of my career, because my changeup wasn't very good, but I was throwing, harder then as well. So, but, obviously the cutter, changed the perspective of how to get hitters out and stuff like that, and what my, plan of attack was.
Definitely.
Yeah. And who would you say is like the toughest hitter you faced during your career?
Oh man, everybody thinks that it's going to be like Bonds or some of those big name guys, man. And I'm going to tell you what, I could not get the little scrappy hitters out, man. David Eckstein was a pain in the, what. I mean, I couldn't stand him, man, because and it wasn't that I didn't like him as a player. It was just like I could not throw something nasty enough to make him out. So I just started it later in the career, lead off the game. I throw it right down the middle and see how far he could hit it. because literally he would get up there and run me to 6, 7, 8 pitches in the first hitter, and then the third and fourth hitter, I got freaking dang Pujols coming up and Ankiel and all this stuff, and I'm going, what in the heck am I supposed to? I'm tired, and not that I was tired, but I had to work really hard to get him out, and it was a pain. He was a pain, but that's what made him good. That's what made him good.
Yeah. And what would you say made that 2008 team so special? I mean, we know there was a lot of talent, but like, was there just like a chemistry and the determination of them? What would you say?
I have my philosophy, and others might have theirs, but just from what I thought, I think the 07 season and going out, getting a taste of the playoffs and then getting swept in the playoffs, I think that lit a fire underneath their rear ends, and I was nobody was happy after that. Obviously, there was kind of some turmoil with us, and I just felt like we were happy to be there. I said that in the papers, and I got a lot of flack from Jimmy and Ryan Howard about that, but that's kind of like the way it looked. I wasn't questioning them trying to play, but it just kind of looked like, oh shoot, we made it. All right, cool. I didn't. Then the next year, we came in, and Jimmy obviously said that we were the team to beat, and we all felt it. We just didn't have the, we didn't have the personality enough to say it to the media, and I've always believed if I say it, it better happen. I feel like if I say it, it wouldn't happen. So let's let Jimmy say it, and so he said that, and there was no doubt. There was no doubt in our minds, and I had a terrible first half of the season to where I got sent down to the minors, and that's what makes that World Series like so much more special to me, is because there was a lot of adversity for me. I come back trying to learn how to start again after being the closer the year before, and it was very, very tough for me to understand that, I'm not here to try to strike everybody out. I'm here to try to give my team a chance to win and go deep in the game. So when I got sent to the minors and everything, that it was kind of a wake up call for me. I didn't expect that. I just thought they'd throw me in the bullpen and let me get through it or try to figure it out. And they sent me to the minors for like 20 days. And I came back after the All-Star break a different pitcher. I went down and worked with Rod Nichols, and he completely changed my philosophy and gave me a plan. And it was like the dumbest plan that you could ever think. And he always used to tell me that hitters are stupid. And I was like, well, if they don't figure this out after 2 or 3 starts, there's a problem. And the whole year, that's all I did was the same plan. There was nothing else. I didn't care who was up at the plate. This is what I did. And it worked. And we ended up, winning the World Series. And it was like bittersweet for me, because I knew that I had got sent down and I came back and big addition with Joe Blanton. It gave me somebody that I could talk to who had similar stuff as me, and we fed off of each other. And I think, Moyer, Grandpa, taught us a lot of stuff as well. Not necessarily. He knew we were competitive, but he just had ideas for us of getting hitters out and whatever it was, and that was huge, because Hamels had Moyer to talk to, and I had Blanton to talk to, and whether I pitched the night before or Blanton pitched the night before, I said, how'd you attack this guy? He'd ask me the same thing. So I think we fed off each other and learned from each other, and there was a little bit of competitive nature out there. We wanted to pitch better. Like if Hamels went before me, I tried to outdo him, and it just kind of trickled down from that. So
yeah, definitely, that's a special bond. Love to hear about that. Yeah. So walk us through. I got to ask about this. The 2008 NLDS game 2. So you had a great game on the mound, but obviously the big story was your walk against CC Sabathia, and you got a hit.
Yeah, a lot of people forgot I pitched that game. They just thought I was a pinch hitter, I guess. That was my best game that I pitched in the playoffs, but it got overshadowed by the hitting. But you know what? The funny thing is I would say it's like freakish that it happened, but honestly, man, when I got out there, you don't feel anything in the playoffs. The fans getting after it, and 40,000 plus fans yelling at you and getting after it. It's a different adrenaline that you're going through than you are in the regular season. The regular season, you're still busting your tail to try to win ball games and stuff like that. But there's just something that the fans and the energy of the stadium and everything brings out in you, and the adrenaline, it's a different feel. And you know, I went out there the first inning. I struggled on the mound, and because I was so amped up. And then when I got to the plate, I'm going, honestly, like I told myself, I'm like, who cares? Nobody cares if you get a hit right here. You know, like, there's no pressure on you. You're supposed to get out with a guy throwing 97, 98 on your hands with a filthy changeup and a great slider, and you're not supposed to be up here. Like, you're not supposed to get a hit. And I can honestly tell you the focus that I had in that at bat was, I swear he was throwing beach balls up there. And I know that sounds stupid to think talking about a future Hall of Famer, but I'm telling you, it just felt like that to me, you know. The swings might not have shown that, but it just, I felt like I could see it out of his hand. I don't know why, you know, and a little bit of that was luck. But, you know, in high school, I used to be a pretty good hitter. Obviously, that didn't carry over to the big leagues, but it's kind of hard when you're up there facing guys throwing that hard and putting the ball where they want to put it. So like I said, that was one of those things to where it just happened. And then the next at bat, when I came up there, I was like, man, there's no way he's getting me out now. And I guess I just bared down. I don't know. And the third at bat, that Jimmy Rollins and Victorino come running up to me, and it was Seth McClung on the mound. They said, dude, he tips his slider, and when he does this, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I kept looking for a slider, and he threw me first pitch fastball, and I hit a base hit, jam shot over second base. And I'm going, I was looking slider. I don't know what the hell they were talking about. I couldn't see it. I don't have as many at bats as you guys. Okay. So that was fun. That was definitely fun and good times. And I'm glad that I can contribute to Phillies history, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, man. And that's gotta be one of my favorite memories of 2008, just being a second grader watching that game.
It wasn't the 3 hits with the 3 RBIs the next game I pitched.
Oh yeah, that one's up there too, right up there.
That was another freakish thing, man. Well, actually, you know, but here's the deal. I'll tell you what they do with pitchers. Pitchers, they allow them, or when, like, I know Charlie did this, and every manager I had would never let a pitcher swing at the first pitch in any at bat. Take the first pitch, but in the playoffs, Charlie's like, swing it. And I saw 3 pitches that game. I went 4 for 5 in the playoffs, and every hit I got was on the first pitch. I said, Chuck, if you'd have let me do this early in the year, we'd have won a lot more ball games. Or at least I would have, maybe. I don't know. I said, sometimes I had to help myself out, you know, because I'm not necessarily going out there shutting people out. I got to somehow find a way to help myself, you know.
Yeah, definitely, man. And so, I mean, even though you guys lost Game 2 of the World Series, you pitched really well.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate that. The only loss we had in the World Series, you're just shoving it right in my face right now, aren't you?
So
I try not to tell my kids that.
My apologies. But, I mean, just kind of like that's something every kid dreams about growing up. I mean, you talked about your childhood. You were dreaming of it from when you were 7 years old. So talk to us about just like being in the World Series and seeing that dream come true.
Well, honestly, it didn't feel like I was in the World Series when we were in Tampa. And I mean, I don't look, I live in Florida, whatever. I'm not bashing Tampa Bay Rays fans or whatever like that, but I would have much rather pitched in Philly. Plus I'd have gotten to hit. So I'm just being funny, but instead Joe Blanton stole the thunder and hit a bomb. But no, I was you know, when you're in a dome like that, I mean, I remember coming up playing in Montreal and stuff like that, and just sitting there not knowing if it was night or day outside, and it just kind of drained you a little bit, I guess you'd say, not knowing what time of day it is because you can't really tell. But I wish that game was definitely in Philly. It was better atmosphere for sure. I mean, obviously it's our home crowd, but in any aspect, it was still cool, you know. But like I said, it didn't feel like a World Series in that stadium. But when we got back to Philly, oh yeah, it definitely felt like a World Series, and I wasn't even playing. You know, so I mean, we're all even cold or whatever it was, and we were just so pumped up we couldn't even be cold.
Yeah. Yeah. Who would you say was your funniest teammate during your career?
Ryan Madsen was pretty good. He was pretty good. He was pretty good. He had everybody laughing. Get on the mic on the buses and just who knows what he was going to say. But I remember my face hurting a lot laughing at him. So yeah, he was one of the top guys, I would say, for sure.
Yeah. And what would you say, like, in terms of locker room chemistry, how important was that, like, in terms of wins and, like, how that affected you guys' play?
I don't know if the locker room really has anything to do with any of that. I just feel like we were all out there for an agenda, and we knew what we wanted to do. We wanted to go out there and just win. We didn't have to like each other. I'm not saying we didn't. I'm not saying we didn't like each other. I'm just saying, but we didn't have to like each other. We knew what our goal was, and our goal was to go win a championship. And, we were all very highly focused after the 2007 loss and getting swept. And we wanted to make sure that didn't happen again. And I just say everything clicked and it came together. And we after, 10 years or so, when we went back a few years ago, that we still talk trash to each other and still kind of don't like each other at times. It's like, it's like brother and sister stuff, or brother, two brothers, sometimes you spend that much time with somebody, you're going to end up hating them at some point, or hey, 1 week I don't like you. All right, but we'll fix it next week, like one of those things. So it was kind of like a band of brothers, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And what would you say made you decide to hang up the cleats back in 2000 or after 2013?
Well, probably because I couldn't shake somebody's hand. My elbow was on fire. And it was bothering me in 2012, and I worked and I healed it up. I thought, went to spring training in 2013 with the Indians and was doing fine. Everything was going good. Typical spring training for me, getting my butt kicked and having a good one here and there and trying to, work pitches and everything. By the end of spring training, we're getting ready to leave. It's like a day or so left. And I was like, my elbow's barking a little bit. And I went ahead and tried to pitch through the year and tried to get through it. And I just couldn't do it. The last fastball I threw was in Houston, and it was 82 miles an hour, and I tried to throw it as hard as I could. And they came out and asked me if I was okay, and I was like, get off my mound, I'm finishing this inning. And I did, but I couldn't, my elbow was absolutely killing me after that. And they did MRIs and stuff and saw that I tore my flexor and sprained my UCL. Didn't have to have surgery, but it just took forever to heal. And I'm talking 2 years after I got done playing, it was still bothering me. And that's without doing anything with it. So that's kind of, my agent called me at the end of that year and thought I was healthy. And I told him, I said, man, I can't even grip, the weights. I was trying to work out and get in shape. I'm like, I can't even grip the weights. I think I'm done. I think I threw my last pitch, and not that I wanted to. I wanted to go out there and pitch well for the Indians that year. I didn't, but I had a coach tell me, one of my high school coaches, there's only so many throws in that arm, and I think that was my last one. That was my last throw.
Yeah, definitely. And so moving to a little bit of a better memory, you froze Willie Moe Pena with that curveball, went to the NL East in 2007. So talk to us about how special that memory was. I mean, Philly fans were desperate for a winner.
A lot of history with me and Willie Moe. Speaking of which, I just saw him at a travel baseball tournament. Our two teams played each other, so it was kind of cool to see him. He's always been a freak. He was huge. I played against him in the minors. He was just a absolute monster. Just a big dude, strong guy. And they're like, don't throw this guy a fastball. I mean, that was the whole MO in the minor leagues. Do not throw this guy a fastball. And I remember the announcer. I remember him hitting bombs in the minor leagues, just going, oh my, so strong, such a strong guy, And I knew what I was going to throw him the whole time, and I knew what I was going to get him out on because he couldn't hit a breaking ball. That was his MO. So but winning it there, it was crazy because Doobie and Charlie gave me a chance because I don't know if y'all remember as well. Sorry, it's a little windy, guys, but
oh, you're good.
I don't know if you guys remember the stretch that me and Flash and JC Romero went through. I think JC threw like 9 out of 10 days, and I was like 7 out of 9 or something like that, or 8 out of 10, something like that, just down the stretch for us to get to where we ended up being in that last game to have a chance. And I remember Doobie coming to us every day, how you guys feel, and I'm like, give us the ball, man. Like, we're ready. Like, us three were like, give us the ball. We're ready. But our goal is to get to the playoffs, man. Like, we're ready. Give us the ball, All this pain will go away when we get to the playoffs, if we have any, So with that last game, Doobie and Charlie said that, we deserved it, basically. He gave it to JC, gave it to Flash, and then gave me the ball at the end there. And, it's very cool, man, to go down in history. But at the time, I didn't even think that it was a big deal. I mean, it was a big deal. I had to step off the mound a couple times, especially when they went final with the Mets-Marlins game. When they went final on that, I had to get off the mound because the stadium was so loud, and I was trying not to overdo it, like an overthrow. And I knew I had to get this guy out, and I didn't want to give him any base runners or anything like that. I wanted to make it quick and get the heck out of there, and let's party. We're going to the playoffs, And I would tell you this though. After that, I threw the ball. Chris Coast gave me the ball. I threw that son of a gun in like the third deck, and Coast was pissed that he gave me the ball, and I was pissed I threw the ball. But I didn't know exactly what I was doing, like the glove throw in the air and what happened. I don't know what happened. I was just pumped, I get and then get mauled, and then I literally got my rear end kicked for jumping in the stands right there by the dugout. People were just beating me up, like punching me, and I'm like, I don't see how that's fun, but you know what? Give it to me. Let's go. I'll be all right. I got a day off tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely, man. So you just talked about the Philly crowd a little bit. So a couple more questions before we wrap up. After having played all over the country in the big leagues, does any other fan base compare to Philly at all?
Absolutely not. There's no way. I don't think so. I mean, I know where I played and stuff like that, the other teams, absolutely not. There's no way. Philly fans will boo you to your face. They'll tell you did great to your face, and I appreciate that from as a respect as a man. But at times, what Philly fans probably didn't know about me more than anything was that I was beating myself up more than you were beating me up. I was more ticked off than you were that I didn't perform the way I was supposed to perform that night. I mean, I remember breaking stuff in clubhouses before because I was so angry that I didn't do my job. And but you know what? Sometimes it just doesn't work for you. It's some days the other guys are better than you. It's not for lack of preparation. It's not for lack of skill. It's just sometimes that's why people come to baseball games, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know, especially if streakers run out there. You don't know when they're going to do that, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, definitely, man. Love to hear that. Love athletes playing like that in our city. We respect that about you, and we love to hear that we're the best fan base too. It makes us feel special. So we're gonna move on to some get to know you questions.
It's just passion, man. It's passion, and they know what they expect and what they want, and I love the passion from that city. I mean, I played with the same passion. I played. I didn't want to go out there and suck. I mean, nobody wants to go out there and suck. We're not trying to go out there and suck it, but you'll let me know if I suck, but I'm letting myself know. I'm punching myself in the face, or smacking myself around like, stupid, why did you throw that pitch? Why did you do that? And you're always second guessing stuff, but but the passion of those fans, it definitely made you. It takes a certain personality. I've said this takes a certain personality to play in the city of Philadelphia, and be a champion there. You just have to have that passion that they have, and and it's great. I mean, that's I've never seen that in another city. You know, and Philly's not a baseball town; it's a football town. So the passion that they had behind us those years was unbelievable.
Yeah, I love to hear that, man. So we're gonna just ask you a couple get-to-know-you questions to wrap up. So, what was your favorite city you traveled to during your career?
Oh man, I don't know. I always pitch good against the Cubs, so I guess I'd probably say Chicago. I guess if we're talking about career-wise, I guess, but Chicago, just because I had the debut there, and I loved Wrigley Field because, you know, I grew up watching the Braves and Cubs, being from the South, and those were WGN and TBS were the only two stations that had baseball on. So, you know, Wrigley Field was definitely a treat.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And going off the topic of road trips, what was your favorite meal you ever had on a road trip?
I don't know. I ate everything. Look at me. I don't really know. It's clubhouse food, I guess. I don't know, man. I didn't really venture outside the hotel as much to go find restaurants or anything like that. I did go to Gibson's in Chicago, you know, but most of the places we would go to a Morton's or something like that. I don't know. I don't care. I didn't care. I was like, give me some food.
What was the best pair of cleats that you owned, or just your favorite?
The ones I won in, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I can tell you the best pair of cleats. I could not tell you, because if I pitched like crap, I might have thrown those cleats away. I might have. I don't know, but I couldn't. If I pitched well, I'd keep wearing them. If I pitched like crap, I might just throw them in the back of the locker and not even know. It could have had 3 good starts in them, and I'm like, all right, these got to go. Not being superstitious or anything. It's just, well, it was being, but trying to figure something out to right the ship.
And then, if you had never played baseball, would you have stuck with boxing, or do you think you would have done another sport?
It was baseball or nothing. I had no choice. That was all I gave. That's all I gave a crap about. That's all I wanted to do. And if I didn't make it, who knows where I'd be right now, honestly. You know, I started doing music now, and I was able to do that, to get around the right people to teach me how to do that type of stuff. And I always played guitar or whatever, but I just, that was never a passion of mine when I was younger. It kind of came to fruition later in life when I learned how to start playing guitar in 2002, which our video coordinator taught me how to do that, Kevin Camasholi. He's still working there for the Phillies, so he taught me a lot on guitar and everything. And now I got 4 albums out, and kind of like, oh, I didn't expect this to happen. But, you know, like I said, a lot of time when you're on the DL, when you have downtime, you start finding things for yourself to do and you know, get better at. Even when you're not on the DL, there's a lot of downtime in professional sports, and you have to find stuff to do with your time. And playing guitar was one of my passions, and it turned into a passion, I guess you would say.
It's awesome.
It's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for your time, Brett. We miss you in Philly, man. We could honestly still use you in the rotation today. I mean,
yeah,
it's been a little rough.
I could give you a good inning, but I wouldn't be able to wipe my rear end the next day.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for this opportunity. We know you're busy, so we're going to let
you got it.
Is there anything you want to say before we sign off?
If you haven't heard, go check out the music. Go check out my music, or go to brettmyers.com.
Awesome. All right, we'll let you go, Brett.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you so much.
See you guys.
Yeah.